Okay, welcome to the Leisure Show here on Uxbridge FM, and we are chatting karate today. We have got Ken Lyons in, who's Chief Instructor at Uxbridge Karate Club. Hi Ken, how are you?
Hello, I'm pretty good, Steve. And you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm going to learn some new words today, I think, which is good. Now, tell us about history of Uxbridge Karate Club, first of all.
Well, I mean, there'd been a club long before I got interested on the RAF Uxbridge base, and in the when was it? I was in my early 40s, around about 1993, around about that time.
Yeah.
My daughter was getting bullied at school, and we just thought, teaching her, getting her into some martial art of some sort, judo, karate, jiu-jitsu. We knew the names, but we didn't know too much about what they were about.
No.
And discovered that there was a club on the camp, and so I managed to get on there. It was open to civilians, but you had to go through security to get onto the camp. And so I started taking her there, and then the process of taking her there and then coming home and drinking a cup of tea, watching a bit of TV, then rushing back, I decided to take up karate myself, and thought while I was taking her there, I'll join in,
Yeah.
So for a number of years we both did karate, and we sort of went through the ranks from white belt. There's a coloured belt system, and we got as far as purple belt, which is sort of just over halfway, I think, to black belt. And then she got to an age, she was then sort of in her 13, 14, school, exams, I guess boys, became interesting, and dressing up and all that kind of thing. So so she decided to leave the club, which was a disappointment to me. But by then she'd become quite a confident individual. Still is, very very confident. And I thought I'd just keep going, because I got the bug, and I'd discovered that I wasn't quite the wimp I thought I was, and quite enjoyed the idea of being able to defend myself, and all the other attributes that come with it, the confidence building. I found that I was behaving better at work, not getting agitated too quickly, short fuse. In my original state, I was a person with a short fuse, and I started to enjoy that, and so it went on. And then around about the turn of the century, the millennium, the then instructor, Frankie Hatton, was posted. He was in the RAF. He was posted to Gibraltar, and somebody had to take over the club, and I was the senior member, brown belt, which wasn't. If you're a sensei, a sensei, this is a Japanese word, means teacher.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're a sensei, then you're the one that's responsible for everything, and you're expected to be a black belt, but normally, but there was no choice. I was the senior individual, and so I took over the club. Struggled quite a bit, and because I was being invited to take part in training sessions with other instructors as part of the affiliation to CQ, which is the Shotokan of England Karate Union.
Yeah.
And as a brown belt, and feeling quite out of my depth, but it was a baptism of fire, if you like. It's I learned the hard way, and because in those days it was pretty tough. It was a bit blood and guts. You're in the dojo. You had to learn to defend yourself.
Yeah.
It was a lot more intense than it is these days. With health and safety and all the other rules, that surround martial arts and teaching martial arts, we've had to become a lot more careful about how we train and treat everybody.
Yeah.
Plus, there's been a change in the world. The youngsters in my day used to like a bit of a rough and tumble. We used to graze our knees and. But the youngsters today are a bit more. I don't know how to explain it.
Soft, maybe. I don't know.
Perhaps that's the word. I mean, it's a different world that we live in. It's not so rough. It's not so hardy. So yeah, when you instruct your students, you teach them in a more benevolent way. Benevolent is probably the wrong word, but yes, you give them more consideration, a lot more tact in your training, rather than just putting them in, with a big guy, which is what happened to me on a number of occasions. You learn by having somebody in front of you that can look after himself.
So whereabouts do you train? Where's the dojo? I've learned the word dojo today.
Dojo, yes, training hall. We train at Bishop's Holt. That's our main. We've been at Bishop's Holt since 2010. Originally, we moved in there with on the request of the headmaster at the time, and we had a relationship going with the school. We used to do after-school clubs, and we'd occasionally set up PE lessons, and demonstrate some simple martial arts and self-defense techniques and things, and generally have a roar of a time, great time. One of the things that we do in karate, one of the things I noticed that we do in karate is we shout a lot. We make this noise that comes from the stomach, which is it's a release of adrenaline, it's a release of power, and new students love that. When you tell them, okay, now we're going to ki. Ki means is a Japanese word for spirited laugh.
Okay.
And when you ki, you make this blood curling shout, that's fairly short but loud, and they love that. That's one of the first things you teach your students is how to make a noise, and they have no problem with that generally.
No. In class, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that's where we are. Bishop's Holt School every Monday and Wednesday from 7 o'clock to 8:30. We train anybody, providing it's 6, there's a requirement from the affiliation with CQ that we don't teach anybody younger than 6.
6, okay.
Yeah, so once you're 6, you're welcome to come along with your mum and dad. Your mum and dad are allowed to train with you. We've got a number of families that train together, mums, dads, and kids. We've got an influx of youngsters at the moment, sort of in the 6, 8, 10, area. But we've still got adults, and we've got 3 instructors that attend on most occasions, myself, and there's Norman and Dave. Norman's due to get his black belt, Dave's a second Dan black belt, and between us we'll manage the setup. We maybe take the adults into the other room or to another area, and the children will be separate. The novices will obviously need some special attention.
Yeah.
People have only just joined and are really struggling. That's always amusing, watching people struggling with just simple things like bowing and doing the basic techniques that allow you to stand in a dojo, standing to attention in a dojo. And then within weeks, you see them sort of like develop and being quite confident, and you see the smiles on their faces when they do a little sequence that they've worked on, you worked on with them. And it's great to see them struggle, and they really think they're never going to get it, and then within a week or two they're starting to pull it together. I've got a little group at the moment. We were training last night for young kids, and they're brilliant to watch.
And can you just turn up, or do you have sort of new members evenings or new members days?
Well, you can turn up. You can ring us. Obviously, it helps if we know you're coming.
Yeah.
Because we'll get the paperwork ready. The initial paperwork is a booklet that tells you all about the club and the history, the rules, of the dojo, etiquette as we call it. The various things that are expected of you when you come to train, and we get all the paperwork, so you can walk away with that. You have a free lesson. First lesson's free anyway, so you can check it out and see whether you like it or not. If you like it, you come back and train again.
You're not like chopping breeze blocks in half and things, that sort of thing.
No, that's right. I've never tried it, and I think at my age, I don't think I should.
So what's the sort of typical format of an evening? You'd come in and you'd bow or whatever, go into the line, or what? More words when learning.
Well, first of all, if I can sort of go explain what karate is. Karate is a form of self-defense. I mean, as you know, there's other forms of martial art, judo, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, and they all come from different parts of the world, kung fu, and the list goes on.
Yeah.
But they all have a particular style, and the thing that's unique with karate is that it's a block and counter, and that's it. So the idea is self-defense. If somebody's coming at you with a big stick or with a big fist, the idea is you save yourself from being injured, and that you hit them back, because you assume this is an attack that's meant to hurt you.
Yeah.
In that situation, you stop the attack and you hit them as hard as you can, or you hit them with a technique that will put them on the floor. That's the idea of karate. It's not boxing where you punch each other for 3 minutes and the loser is the one that doesn't get up. With karate, the idea is that you stop a technique coming in and you put them straight down on the floor. I mean, that doesn't really necessarily happen, but that's the objective, block and counter. So and that's so all our training is done on our feet. Occasionally we maybe do a throw, or we will do a sweep, which will knock your opponent down. But most of the training, most of the combat as well is done standing up.
Yeah. And
you're defending yourself against punches and kicks. Strikes, which could be arm movements, so that's your you need to know how to stop those from injuring you.
Yeah.
And then your reply is with the same sort of thing: punches, strikes, kicks, sweeps, and the idea is you take the person down as quickly as possible. So there's 3 levels of training. There's basic training, where you learn all the skills, and that's called Kion. So Kion means basic. It's a Japanese word for basic, and so that's the basic, all the basic moves. Yeah, all the standard blocks. The rising block. If you're watching on camera, there's agyuki, which is a rising block, stopping a punch coming in straight into the face. That can also be used as a strike under the chin. But that's essentially what it is initially, is a rising block. A punch towards the body could be blocked with sota uki, outside block, or uchi uki, inside block. And then for kicks, you can use your arm, sweeping arm, gadambarai, which is a low-level block. You're thinking about writing this.
Maybe to learn these. Yes,
anyway,
yes.
There's loads of techniques.
Yep.
So you learn all the techniques, all the blocks, all the punches, all the kicks, and that's that. So most of the training that we do revolves around that.
Yeah.
Learning those basic techniques, and then there's another K, which is called kata. Kata is the Japanese word for form, and that's and basically that's a series of moves, blocks and counters, kicks, punches, strikes, that this is in a form of a routine, like a dance. It may be, I say a dance, you don't do it to music.
No.
But it's a series of moves which would be pretend fights, perhaps, with the invisible man. And you do these different techniques, blocks, punches, and that routine is called a kata, and there are 26 katas within Shotokan.
Okay.
And from very simple kata, Kion is the first kata, and Kion was the word for basic. Yep. So the first kata is called Kion kata, the basic kata, and each kata has got a name, and we get tested on that. So that gives you the opportunity to put all your basic moves into a stylized fight, with the invisible man, and then there's obviously sparring, which is the other K, which is kumite, Kumite.
Okay.
Kumite. Sparring, yeah, and that can be light sparring, light kumite, which is touch contact, where you're bobbing around in front of somebody and trying to strike, and they're trying to block you, and that can be quite fun. And that's the first, when people are learning to fight.
Yeah,
that's where we move them to eventually. Is that light, fun sort of tagging somebody? It's a play fighting. But in the process they do it, they automatically, the adrenaline starts to rise when you're stood in front of somebody. Is he going to hit me? You can't help it, and then you start getting a little bit more aggressive, and so the natural aggression and will to win is allowed to sort of like flourish in that situation. But it's done with complete control. You have it's done to ensure no injury.
Yeah.
And then that will develop into a fully fledged combat situation, a dojo fight, which is and the intention is to score a point. It's not like in other forms of sport where you score as many points as you can or reach a particular number. The idea is that with karate, if you're using karate correctly, when somebody tries to strike you, your response is a killer's response. Okay, so if you reply with a killer response, which is ippon, which means which means you win with one strike, that makes you the winner. So if someone tries to come at you and you block them and you hit them square in the face, and they recoil from that, and they're obviously distressed by it, then that makes you the winner.
Okay.
That said, when we fight with mitts on a thin mitt. For years, there was no protection of the fist. We used to do this sort of fighting with bare fists. It's only been, again, health and safety has required us to wear mitts, gum shield, and a box to protect ourselves. So when you it's semi-contact, so that you do hit your opponent in these fights, but it's done with control.
Yeah.
So the intention is not to injure, but it's to score a point. Right? I suspect if you're doing in a boxing match, probably the plan is to hurt your opponent and to knock them out. If you hit them hard enough, they'll go down and you'll win. But with karate, it's because it's potentially these attacks, killer attacks. You hit somebody square in the face, you can cave in their nose, you can do some real damage. So the intention is to control your the environment when the fighting going on. If it's in competition, you've got 5 refs, or you've got 4 umpires and you've got a referee. Yeah. So there's and they're all around the square where you're fighting, and they will. Yame means stop. That's another Japanese word. And if the referee shouts out Yame, and it's usually shouted, you stop immediately. And that's adrenaline, anger, emotions can build up in that situation. You've been hurt, and you're going to get your opponent back. That's a human instinct. So things can get out of hand, and that's why you've got very strict control over that sparring and fighting situations. Yeah.
Tell us about more of the other skills that maybe kids can learn from karate. You mentioned discipline, and you mentioned your handling your emotions better. Is that something you see a lot? Yeah,
that's right. I mean, so I always laugh when they. I laugh quietly to myself. But when they come in and they're sort of a little bit intimidated by you and your dojo and all these people in white pajama suits and different coloured belts, and they sort of look up. Even with adults, you can see that sort of concern. What have I let myself in for? And that timidness or that unsure, that feeling insecurity soon disappears. With a few lessons, they're suddenly part of the team. They're part of the training process, and no one's ever ridiculed for their inability to do something. It's about nurturing and making it something possible. Something new skills possible. And for some people that's really easy. Some people are athletic and they just take to it and they can kick up to the ceiling, and other people struggle, and it's about nurturing them. And that's I guess if you say what the benefits of karate, it's the confidence that people get. That confidence allows you to control your emotions, and in a situation where and we've all been there, and suddenly you find yourself in a heated environment, and you're the centre of that. You've knocked somebody's drink over in a pub, and he's angry, So, and the natural response to that, if somebody was to come at me and shout, and I'm not, if I wasn't trained or had some experience in martial arts, I'd be defensive, right? I'd be protecting myself, and I'd be standing my ground. That's a normal thing for a human being to do. But if you're relaxed and you're not feeling anxious about the situation, which tends to happen, the more skilled you become, the less tense you need to be in difficult situations. Allows you to be more relaxed, and that immediately can break the ice. So, well, sorry, mate. You know what? Can I get? Well, do you want another one? What are you drinking? So you think sensibly. What do I do? It's a difficult situation. I can stand my ground. I can have an argument with him, or I can make friends with him. And in a situation like that, if I did, if you ever see me in the pub, accuse me of knocking over a drink, you probably get a free pint from me. But that's in life, you don't need to be aggressive with everybody, and learning that, when I started karate, my first benefit was at work. Being around, subordinates and seniors, and just feeling that I fitted in, because I felt more comfortable with myself. I felt more, gave over a better vibe with my co-workmates, whether they be the boss or the office boy or something. You just feel like you can be yourself. You don't have to put on a facade. And many of us have to, because of the world we live in. It's a dodgy world out there.
So the website we can have a look at is uxbridgekarate.com. You can go on there. There's a bit of history about the club, and then also we've got some pictures as well. There's a little gallery, and we can look at some actual pictures. There's Ken. Last week we did. Since COVID, we've not been back long. I've been back a couple of months now. Yeah, and we thought it'd be nice to sort of encourage people back and give them a sort of like a nice pat on the back, Yeah. But particularly those that came back with a vengeance and decided that they were this was another, a new leaf. And so we had a trophy for a senior most improved, junior most improved, and a peewee, which is the very small individual. I have to figure out what age you start when you come in. You start as a peewee at 6, and I'm not sure whether, I think it's 9 or 10 you become a junior, and then until you're 16, and then you become an adult. Yeah. So we did a trophy in all the 3 categories to the most improved, and so that's that was that little picture of, there was Michael there with me standing with young Michael. Yeah. Who's really keen. He's a that's great little kid. But they all are. They're all wonderful. Which is great. What's the sort of rough costs once you've joined? Well, it can. There's the cost of a lesson. A single lesson is £7. Yeah. And if you pay monthly, you get paid. You pay a standard fee for the month, which works out. You get some free lessons in. So if you pay in advance, you get a couple of lessons, but free basically. And then if you pay in advance, if you pay via direct debit. So you've got the money coming out. You also get another percentage off. So the costs can be reduced if you're a regular
trainer. But if you're going to turn up once a week and pay your £7, you can do that. You pay cash, or you can pay online. There's various. So that's the main cost. And the other cost is the equipment. A gi, a gi is another uniform.
Right.
GI is the white outfit that we wear.
Yeah.
Traditional Japanese outfit, sort of a kimono with white trousers.
Yeah.
In cotton. You got that to pay for. That can cost, if you're the children, you can pay about £12 for a gi with a belt. And for adults, you can pay up to £200. My gi, for instance, was about 150 quid, I think.
Yeah.
And I got a number of those. The better gis last forever. They just I've got a number of them. Some of them have got a few holes in, the ones that were pre-war. I don't know which war that was. So you got the equipment to pay for, your outfit, and then you got your membership to CQ.
CQ, yeah.
And so you got basically a license to train, and with that license comes some insurance as well, some basic insurance. So that's £25 a year.
Yeah.
And then there's the annual membership to the club, which is the other cost. I think it's about £30 a year to the club. And that's your costs. The only other costs are if you grade, then you pay for your gradings, and then if and the belts.
Yeah.
When you grade, you have to get a belt. But I get everything. I got a deal with a martial arts supplier. So if you get it through me, I get it a little bit cheaper for you. But you can still buy stuff on the internet. There's
Lovely.
So there's a little bit of a cost involved, but I think people feel it at the beginning because you've got like the memberships to pay for, and But once you're in, once you're part of the team. It's fairly inexpensive. Yeah,
it's comparable to anything else kids or families do, isn't it? Really, I mean, you go swimming or whatever, it's that kind of price.
If you join the gym, you'll be doing the same thing. You'll be gym membership, your monthly membership, and you may need to be affiliated to some sort of sports organisation if you're specialising in something in particular.
Yeah,
same sort of costs. Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to summarise the words that I've learnt today. We've got sensei, which is teacher. Dojo, that's the training hall.
Correct.
Ki is the shout.
Yeah.
Can you give us some examples of the shouts?
Yeah!
That's good, yeah, I like that. Lots of red lights. And then ki on, basic.
Ki on, yeah.
And then kata.
Kata.
Form, kata. Kamate, sparring,
yeah.
And then ippon.
Yeah,
I've forgotten what ippon is.
Ippon is a 1 point score. Just going back to just elaborating around that was that you can score half a point. So with that, so in the event of a half a point, you don't win the match outright. You just edge ahead.
Yeah,
and then you need to win another half point to win the match. So the match continues if you get a half point. If you strike, but it's not an incapacitating blow, or it wouldn't have been, maybe to the stomach, would be a half point. So
and
so that's what ippon is like. Ippon is an outright win.
We've got yame, stop,
and
gi is the uniform or the
that's right.
the kit.
Good, excellent.
Oh well, I might pop in and join a session at one point, I think. Thanks for coming in, Ken.
You're welcome.
We'll have another session because we didn't know this, but Ken's told us about a secret pop group or rock group, we should say, that you're part of. A previous career, you're a member of Hustler, 70s, 80s, I suppose it would have been.
Yeah, 74 rock band. Yeah, we toured with Queen. We did Queen's first major tour when they had Killer Queen out, so it was on the crest of their wave. I'll leave it to you. You're telling the story.
We'll get you in at another point and chat about the years of Hustler and all the throwing TV sets out of hotel windows and things. I'm sure that didn't happen. Thanks very much, Ken. That's great. And anybody who wants to join, head to the website, uxbridgekarate.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you.